These guys are trying. I go to properties and I'm like, man, they're not trying.
Right.
They're not even trying to be successful here.
This is your deal.
This is our deal. Yeah.
Oh, that's sharp. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we have to get to. But you started all in Class C, correct?
Yeah.
So
but we have these. We created these for our B and Cs too.
Oh, okay.
This is gonna be never. Just because you're B and C doesn't mean you have to act B and C.
Yeah.
You know, you can be like this. You can show. Maybe you don't have this kind of nice pool, but you have nice amenities, and they know what they're walking into because they're touring the property.
Right.
So just create a video of the best stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And guess what? When you start creating these videos, and you're like, man, we don't look good. Guess what you do? You start spending money to make yourself look good. See, these are reoccurring quality control metrics for yourself. When I'm now sending the investors the weekly stats, I think I told you about that, right? I now send them an email with our. Can you show them the last email we did for the investors? When I send these emails now, it makes us more accountable. Not just at the end of the month, we're doing our monthly summaries. I'm like, oh man, what happened this month, man? Hey, I need you to go to the property and go fix this. No, it's weekly. It's live now. You know, and so it brings accountability. When I'm doing, see, he was on vacation, so I reworked his whole scenario. I'm not going to do the slow approach that he was doing. I'm going to put the responsibility on the regionals. I said, hey, send me your stats, send me bullet point achievements, talking about this, and this. I treated them like they're my own ChatGPT, and they sent it back to me. Here it is, right here. So here's our set. Go slow. 0. We had 0 leases, 5 renewals. I'm pushing the shitload of renewals. Why? Because we make money when we renew. Yeah. I'd rather have 5 renewals than 5 leases all day long.
Would you rather if you're like below market rent, you would still rather slowly work up with renewals versus like kind of push them out?
Depends on
how far the delta is. Mm-hmm. Like let's say if you're $100-$200 away.
It depends, man.
Sure.
Because if nobody moves out, then your expenses go to 0.
Right.
You know, you got to figure out what that delta is.
Yeah, what do you say to tenants that, so they're very below market rent and the previous landlord wasn't taking care of anything for them? You know, they don't have dishwashers or things like that. What do you...
But do they... Okay, but remember this. Okay, it's very important. They moved in like that.
Okay.
Because that's what they could afford.
Right.
You think you're going to be Santa Claus and be a good guy and go and replace everything, but you're going to want a return on that. Mm-hmm. So you're going to raise their rent $200 or something. Mm-hmm. Okay, $200. Can they afford the $200 more?
So they're all saying they're taking it. We've got leases signed, but
then you should do it then.
So then we should do it. Okay, and so even then, somebody then that is at market rent or close to it.
Well, why do they want it now? Why do they accept it the way it is? Why do they go somewhere? See, that's something I don't understand.
Yeah, I love that.
Of why
you moved in here,
in that
knowing
condition.
what it is. Yeah.
They know this. Every time we do a takeover, people move out immediately because they know we're going to do a renovation and they can't afford it. They don't want a renovation. You think that they want a new appliance? Yeah, we all want it, but they want it for free. They don't want to pay for it.
Do you write that encourage?
So what about people that you're just doing their annual rent bump and they're like, oh, I want, then they start requesting things. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so, how would you handle it?
So,
they ask, why am I paying this? Why do I have to pay more if I'm not, and this is broken, or I want a new dishwasher, I want a new fridge?
So, I think it's a little bit about what you guys previously said. It's finding that sweet spot on what is acceptable for the current rent or the rent bump in comparison to what they're asking for. So, like I used to manage a property in Humble when I had, residents. I think I would start off with a $60 rent bump. And if they asked for a new stove, all day I would replace the stove. Because if the stove was old anyway, I'm going to have to replace it if they're going to be moving out. So in addition to the stove, you got vacancy loss, you got, a concession to your team members, you have maintenance, spending time in the unit, you have to do a paint. So a stove all day outweighs, a move out. So you have to find what is beneficial to you all's specific situation.
Does that make sense? If that stove's old, you're gonna replace it anyway.
You're gonna replace it on move out.
So might as well keep the renewal in there and get $60.
When you take over, what are some of the immediate, so you said a statement, you're like, so you said 2 things that I found very profound. In the past, you had said, I only improve it for my term of ownership, right? You said, I only improve for my term of ownership, right? So if the roof goes in 15 years, but you're only owning for 5, you're not touching the roof,
no,
right?
Should you?
Right. So we kind of view it as like we're like long-term hold investors, you know? Well, first off, what's your average hold time? I'm sure, again,
It's supposed to be 7 to 10.
7 to 10. Okay. So about on par with what we feel for us. What are some of the immediate things? I know you've mentioned toilets, air conditioners, you know what I mean? But like, do you start exterior first and then do interior improvements? So like, you're taking over a community, right? It's very below market rent. Do you have a process or a SOP you follow, like exterior first, signage, like
I
cosmetics?
try not to do anything in the first 30 days except for curb appeal items.
Okay.
Because I don't want to impact the life of the residents. I just took over, here's your new payments, make it out to here. It's a lot of transition, right?
Yep.
Okay, I don't want to like, shake the tree too hard, right? But I want to go trim the trees.
Okay.
I want to go trim the trees literally and get any kind of branches away from the roofs. I want to make it give that park look. I want to replace external lighting right away. None of this impacts your life in your unit, but it shows immediately that I'm making the property better, right? I'm going to fix the mailboxes. I'm going to fix the parking lot. I'm going to do things that don't impact you but help you because it looks nice. Now it increases your pride of ownership. I then should go and like, okay, this is my new make-ready standard. I'm going to change out the brass into the brushed nickel. I'm going to change out light fixtures to this on the turn. And then as I do that, we're going to get our rent bump. Can we get that number that we think we're going to achieve? I did a rehab at Maple Trail, and we were changing everything out, but people weren't wanting to pay the rent. So I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. So we scaled back the internal rehab. So instead of charging 200, we only got 50. But I didn't change this out. I didn't change this out.
Do you test?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.